What is going on YouTube? This is Jim back with another video for you guys today. We got an unboxing and a review of these things right here. These are called the Leverback FPS paddles. They're by a company called EXknight, and we'll jump into what they are and why you may want them. It's for your PlayStation 5 Dualsense controller, which I happen to have right here. Before I get into that, I want to be perfectly clear. I did receive this product for free as a review copy. So keep that in mind as you listen to my review. Although, as I say in all of my other product reviews, I think I'm a pretty square shooter, but that's for you guys to decide. Just keep that in mind. Let's go ahead and jump over very quickly to the website just so you can see what these things look like from the product site. Then we'll come back to the unboxing portion of this video and then installation. And then I will come back at the end with my final assessment on if there's something you may want to purchase. As I mentioned, they're called the Leverback FPS paddles, and what they are essentially is a back button attachment. We don't have that right now on the PlayStation 5 controller. You could buy a scuff controller that can do that. You've seen Microsoft do their Elite controller. This is a potential solution to doing this on your PlayStation 5. And you can see here it maps over the square button and over the cross button by a simple mechanical lever that you pull, which allows you to press the buttons. Now, this is important because by doing so, you really eliminate significant thumb movement off your right thumbstick. That is ideal that you would never have to. Even with the DualSense controller, the DualShock 4 controller and the PlayStation back button attachment, you only did get mappings of 2 buttons. Here it's also 2 buttons. I think the square button and the X button are the 2 most common mapped buttons anyway. And there you can see in action as you're playing, you don't no longer have to put you take your thumb off the right grip to the right thumbstick rather to press on the cross button or on the square button. And here you can see some of the stuff about it. It's they use zinc alloy materials, which are supposed to be pretty responsive. I mean, honestly, it's just a mechanical lever, so I wouldn't expect it not to be responsive, honestly. But basically, you pull the stick out, and that presses the button in. So that's what it does. Let's go ahead and take a look back at the box now, and we'll see what is inside. And then I will slowly start to assemble this for you guys, and we will take a look together, and I will run through this in terms of some gameplay, and then I will report back. Inside the box, you have the actual product, which makes a lot of sense, plus a very little link here of the official site with a little explanation of a warranty. It comes with a 6-month free replacement warranty, and they have links to their official website, their Instagram, their YouTube, their Pinterest, and some product information there if you want it. And then here is the actual thing itself. You can see the levers and how they work, and just by pulling on them, I can already see, you probably can't tell on the camera, but it is actually wiggling this in. So looks like it's a plastic chassis that snaps around your DualSense controller. So you basically line up the holes. Pretty simple. I haven't snapped the back on yet, but it only goes on one way. It's a piece of plastic, right? That would make a lot of sense. Bring the latch down. I assume it's going to click into place. There we go. Probably didn't hear that on my microphone, but it did make an audible click. And now, oh, there it was. You might have heard that click. Oh, there, that was definitely the audible click. 2 audible clicks, and there you have it. Now it sits on your controller, and now you have the lever action. And I can tell you by pulling back on the buttons here, I don't know if I can get it from a side, but you can see it is actually lowering each of the things by pulling out. I still have pretty free reign. Now I'm a little bigger handed than most people. I still have pretty free reign. When I saw this product, I was like, I like this idea. You still have access to your PlayStation button. That's not really hidden. I was a little leery of the right analog stick itself just by looking at it, because I thought, okay, I'm going to constantly be basically resting my thumb on this metal bar. I don't know if that's something I'm going to be interested in. I almost feel like I'll be holding the controller like up over the top because I don't want to hit it. But I could say holding the controller as I would comfortably, putting my right thumb on the right thumbstick. I have plenty of clearance here. If that was a concern just by looking at the picture, again, a little bigger hands. Not an issue at all. Everything is fully exposed as well. You still have full access to your touchpad, to your share button, to your options button. You still have the ability to charge the console or the controller on the top. Doesn't have any bearing on the left or right trigger sets. The D-pad is still completely exposed. And if you are somebody who uses a headphone jack on the bottom, fear not. The headphone jack is still perfectly visible as well. And yeah, I think this looks really cool. You can even let the cutout for, I don't know what even these, I don't even know what these do on a DualSense 5, but if you ever need access to those, you're going to be fine. So I can tell you just holding it, the controller, the case feels good. It doesn't rattle or anything. Obviously, there's a little bit of mechanical play in this piece. There, you kind of would expect there to be. Obviously, it's pulling back, and it does kind of have to launch itself back into position. So I do hear a little bit of rattling here and here against the case, but not major. And honestly, I think in the heat of battle, I'm hearing more of the clicking sound than the mechanical plastic rubbing sounds. So I don't think that's much of a concern either. So they feel good in the hand. I'm going to have to retrain myself on using one of these on a DualSense controller because that's a lot of muscle memory. You know, I use my Elite controller constantly. It's my daily driver on pretty much any PC and obviously Xbox game. So it's going to take me some time to kind of get acclimated with this. But at this point in the video, I'm going to do a jump cut. I'll come back in a day or two. It'll be instant for you, but for me, it'll take a little bit of time, and we'll get into whether or not this is a product you may want to invest in. So here we go. All right, I am back with some final thoughts and some gameplay impressions of the Leverback FPS paddles. I spent quite some time playing through the Division 2, particularly the tower levels, the Summit, because that primarily uses your square and your cross button for reloading, which you're going to do a ton of, and snapping the cover, which you're going to do a ton of. So I thought that was a really good test. I also did play some Call of Duty Warzone, did a couple drops there. And I also played a little bit of Destiny 2 just to try it out. I like it and I don't like it. So I'm going to recommend it for certain people and for certain use cases, but there's a couple things I want you to keep in mind. What did I like about it? It worked exactly as advertised. You do not have to lift your thumb off of your right thumbstick if you are hitting square or cross. Now, you can go into the PlayStation 5 accessibilities and do some remapping. So if you want to try to get fancy and somehow turn that into a circle and a cross or some other button combination, you can. This is definitely something that would have been really nice. Understand its mechanical nature so we don't have that software component as where in the back button attachment for the DualShock 4 controller back on the PlayStation 4 days, it was totally configurable. Understand it's a mechanical solution versus a software type solution, so that doesn't necessarily correlate, just something to be mindful of. Again, I have bigger hands, so it was easy for me to reach over the right metal stick and to be able to freely use the right thumbstick without any issue. My wife, a little bit smaller hands, she had difficulty, and she said, I feel like my thumb is constantly resting on the metal that connects to the cross button. So keep that in mind as well. She said it didn't really bother her, even when she was using the paddle to activate the cross button and feeling the mechanical movement of the stick. She said it was very minor and it didn't really bother her, but it was something she was mindful of, and it was a feeling she wasn't quite used to. So keep that in mind as well. I noticed no scuffing or any kind of damage at all on any of my buttons because the way the paddle comes down, it's completely flat and lifts back up. It was smooth on the bottom, so I didn't see any issues with that. I had no issues toggling the microphone mute. I had no issues toggling the PlayStation button or the control pad or the options button or anything like that. Everything worked perfectly fine. If you don't like it, it's very easy to snap off and on for particular games. The one thing that was a little different for me and I wasn't a big fan of, but again, understand it's a mechanical solution. It kind of doesn't let you, or you guess you can, but it feels weird. you're kind of limited to use the paddles for the square and the cross button. If you're just doing menuing and you're scrolling through and you want to kind of give your hand a rest and you want to use your right thumb, keep in mind there's going to be a metal rod there. And it sounds kind of like, well, that's kind of a no-brainer. Of course it is. But it feels silly because you're not expecting to have something in the way, and yet something is in the way. Wasn't a huge deal. Not like I was doing a lot of menuing in the games I was playing. Traditionally, I was kind of getting into the action. Just understand that if you are going to go down this route, you're going to kind of have to accept that you're not going to use your thumb for square and cross anymore. It just doesn't feel natural and it feels weird. The triggers also, unlike other buttons here, and I have an example just with my Elite controller. On an Elite controller, you pull the paddle back towards you to press the button. A lot of scuffs are the same way, although a lot of them are orientated vertically. Here, the levers pull towards the bottom of the controller. So when you're holding your hand and you have the paddles, you're kind of pulling down more than you're pulling towards you. Didn't bother me. It felt very natural. Just something to be mindful of. It was a little different movement than you're used to if you have used other controllers in the past. But seeing as that PlayStation has nothing on the horizon for this, seeing as we have heard rumors for a long time of a potential patent of maybe some sort of pro controller coming out in the future. I have not seen it. We did not see one really ever. The back button attachment was the closest we ever got from using your standard PlayStation issued OEM controller to add something onto it without going down the route of a custom controller like a Scuff or many of the other brands that power any of the other brands that do something. This is using your Dualsense controller. So you're getting the great haptic feedback from your Dualsense, the same everything, just an add-on to it. For that reason, I would say that the Leverback FPS paddles are awesome. They're really cool. I like them. I will definitely use them for shooters. I don't see why I would not continue to use this as I play more Division, as I play more Call of Duty. Absolutely, I love these things, and for that reason, I do recommend them. I would not recommend them if you have smaller hands, or if you're somebody who doesn't always necessarily like to have to kind of have that muscle memory of, oh yeah, I can only use my thumb on triangle and square. I can't use my thumb on triangle and circle. I can't use my thumb on square and cross, because definitely you're going to notice there's a bar in the way when you go to press it and it doesn't feel right. And the, just kind of the layout of it is obviously that's why it's mechanical in nature, because there's something in the way. But I like them. I'm going to post a link to these in the description below. As I said at the beginning of the video, I'm going to wrap it up here with, I did receive these as a review copy. So keep that in mind. I think I've been pretty fair on the pros and cons of these, but of course there's always going to be people out there who say I got bought off or whatever. I don't think that's the case, but I want to be very clear. You can order them online at the website below. This is not an affiliate link. It's just the regular link. I don't get any money for making any sales on these. I just wanted to review them and give you guys an honest opinion. So if you're looking for a competitive edge on a shooter in a game where you do not want to give up your ability to aim, as in you do not want to let off the right thumbstick for any reason, even for a millisecond, this is definitely a solution I think you want to consider. No tearing apart the controller. You can take it on, you can take it off. Very, very easy to use. That's my final thoughts on the Leverback FPS. Thank you guys so much for watching. Hope you found this video interesting and informative. And until next time, I will see you guys on the other side.